Hello and welcome back to Continental Club Extra, where we show Premier League fans exactly what they're missing. I'm back from holiday and joined by Henry Hill. Henri, how are we doing?
Yes, good to have you back, Doogie. You were sorely missed over the past week or two, but yeah, no, I'm good. Gareth Bale retired. Yes. Big news yesterday. Interesting to see the response from some Real Madrid fans. Some still saying that he's a legend, some certainly not. How do you feel that he should be respected now that it's all over?
I think he had an amazing career, to be honest. It's a slight shame that it petered out at club level over the last 5 years, but it shouldn't be forgotten what he did for Wales in that time as well. And I think if you look back at his stats, particularly in his final 2-3 years at Spurs, absolutely remarkable, countless unforgettable goals. I think he's got to be remembered as a legend. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the fact that his last 2 goals were a penalty at the World Cup and that header in the MLS Cup final. Like, say what you want, he's still going out on a high. So yeah, what a legend. Enjoy your retirement, Gareth. That's from us, I suppose.
Love that. Yeah, he'll be straight onto the golf course probably for the rest of his life. I wonder whether he could actually probably get it to a quite high level, maybe go semi-pro in golf. Is semi-pro in golf even a thing? Anyway, I'm rambling now. Today we were going to discuss free agents your club should sign either this January or in the summer, and we are still going to get onto that, but we do have a bit of breaking news to kick off the show. Apparently, Henry, there is one source saying this at the moment, so we will discuss the validity of the source, but Diego Simeone could be leaving Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, this comes in from El Chiringuito, that are friends over in Spain.
Tic-tac.
Yeah, tic-tac. If you don't know it after that, then yeah, get to know it. Paco Garcia, the journalist there, he says Diego Simeone will leave Atletico Madrid at the end of the season. Actually, I was just looking as well, Guillem Balaguer is saying that Atletico want the fans to almost pressurise him into moving on after the fallout with this João Felix move. Obviously, looks like João Felix is on his way to Chelsea on loan, and that is a big kind of blow to... I think a lot of people are just annoyed because this is a sort of the big gamble in Atletico's history, £113 million spent on this star player, someone who's meant to really define that club for years to come, and it's just not worked out, and a lot of talk that he's fallen out of Simeone. Actually been in great form recently for the club. Take away the Barcelona game, I think he'd scored in 3 straight La Liga games going into it. So he's clearly a great player, looked pretty decent at the World Cup, and he's fallen out with Simeone, and I think a lot of people are annoyed about it. And the pressure is growing on Simeone. I mean, obviously he's done an amazing job in his time in charge there. 2 Champions League finals, 2 Europa Leagues, 2 league titles as well. You cannot take away any of those achievements there, but it does feel like they've been stagnating over the past few seasons. And yeah, there is certainly a shelf life to a manager's time at a club. We saw Wenger maybe stay on way too a lot longer than he maybe should have. There's an element of leave on a high, certainly in managerial context, and I think Simeone is in danger here of really dropping off. And now we've seen them drop to 5th in the table. 5 points off Real Betis in 3rd place.
Real
Sociedad, forgive me. Betis sort of around points level with them. Villarreal now, after that victory over Real Madrid, creeping up in them too. So suddenly it looks like Champions League football isn't as certainty as it was before. And that really is the foundations of an Atletico season, isn't it? Getting into the Champions League in a year when it doesn't look like they're going to challenge for the title. They've always got that kind of fall back on, well, we'll make the Champions League, get in that money, start again kind of thing. And if they don't get that, then he certainly should be looking to be moved on. And let's not forget, he's paid an absolute ton of money, 3.3 million euros per month, highest paid manager in football. I'm not surprised if it looks like the club are floundering under him a little bit at the moment and maybe needs a new direction. I'm not surprised they'd want to move him on.
Yeah, I think what you say about João Felix is quite crucial, actually, because his big money signings, he actually hasn't really managed to make work. I mean, João Felix has never scored more than 10 goals in all competitions in a season for Atletico Madrid. Thomas Lemar has been converted into a midfielder to a bit of effect, but he's still not scored 10 goals for Atletico Madrid. And Diego Costa, they bought back from Chelsea for about 60 million euros.
Awful.
And it was terrible. He was consistently injured and was just a shadow of his former self. It shouldn't be forgotten what he did in terms of turning Atletico Madrid into clearly the 3rd or constantly in the top 3 really over the last 10 years. I mean, I think they finished 9th and 7th in the 2 years prior to his arrival, 5th in his half season after taking over in December 2011, and then consistently in that top 3. 2 La Liga titles, shouldn't be forgotten in 2014, particularly that 2014 crop. I think that was a vintage time for La Liga. At that particular moment. So that was a massive, massive achievement. 2021 had its own unique circumstances, but still massive credit. But as you say, he probably isn't worth the money anymore, at least on the basis of this season. They are out of the Champions League. They finished bottom of their Champions League group. So they won't have any form of European football after Christmas for the first time since 2010-11. That's either the Europa League or Champions League, of course. Henry, let's talk about some of the candidates that could come in to replace him if this does turn out to be true. And there's 3 names that we think are probably the top candidates for this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it would be anyone would jump at this job, although they don't maybe have the ability to pay the kind of big transfer fees that perhaps they have in the past due to kind of the difficult economic circumstances. I still think this is an unbelievable job, unbelievable stadium, fan base, etc. to build on. So yes, Luis Enrique, obviously recently left the Spanish job, which I was quite surprised about. Mauricio Pochettino and Thomas Tuchel. They're the kind of big 3, obviously, aren't they? Tuchel only lasted 100 games at Chelsea, but let's face it, did an amazing job there. Won the Champions League.
Fired him too early.
Fired him too early. Fans singing his name the other week. I mean, I actually think what Enrique did with that Spanish squad was fine. A lot of people getting in a huff about their inability to score and a lot of passing. They didn't really have a clinical striker at this moment in time. I think he did a really good job there, and I quite like him. Pochettino, I don't think it's the right job for him personally. If I was at Atletico Madrid, I'll be going all in for Enrique or Thomas Tuchel at this point in time, and I think both of them would jump at the opportunity to take this job, particularly Enrique, because he'd get to stay back in his homeland too. And both of those for me, massive.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think there is a slight chance that Nagelsmann leaves Bayern at the end of this year, and I think if he does, then Tuchel could come into the equation. I don't think Nagelsmann has pulled up any trees at Bayern so far. They do have some injuries at the moment. They've got that Champions League tie against PSG next month, and I think Tuchel would be very high up Bayern's list, and maybe that'd be a more attractive option for him, a guarantee of trophies domestically pretty much, rather than consistently competing with 2 sides where it's not really an even playing field because of the TV money that goes to Real Madrid and Barcelona versus Atleti, and don't even get us started on the top 3 versus the rest of the La Liga. It's really sort of doctored to ensure that the hegemony that they have never really changes. So I think Luis Enrique is a really nice fit. Again, Pochettino, I think he's probably more suited to English football, and I think his reputation is so much higher in English football as well. And it feels like Conte at Spurs might not last until the end of this year as well.
Please, if they go from Simeone to Conte, that's just like...
No. I'm saying that Pochettino would be very good as a Conte replacement. I think Pochettino would be too drastic a change from Simeone. But guys, who do you want to replace Simeone, and how do you reflect on his time in charge there? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's get on to our second part of the show. We were going to discuss free agents, and Henry, it looks like one is about to be completed in the next few days. Konrad Laimer is supposedly going to join Bayern Munich, with this deal being completed in the summer. Yeah, not really surprised on this one. Rumoured for a long time. Looked like Liverpool were in for him too. I think he's been injured for a lot of this season, so he hasn't really been able to... He's been off the radar in that sense. But yeah, there's been a lot of chat around Laimer for a while. I mean, he's just a really good player, isn't he? Nagelsmann knows him well. 25 years old. I've made 167 appearances for Leipzig at this point in time. 11 goals, 18 assists. That's not really what he's about, though. He's just a really kind of all-action midfielder, isn't he? Really high pressure numbers, good for shot-creating actions, dribbles too. So you can see why they want him, a real box-to-box operator. I saw you tweet about this the other day. I mean, what does this mean for the rest of their midfielders in that side? It's not as if they've got a load of ageing out midfielders. They got rid of Mark Rocker in the summer, didn't they? I mean, where does Gravenberch go from here? Surely he has to leave on loan if it looks like he's going to have more competition. We've just seen Sabitzer finally get his moment in that side after a tricky, first 6 months was it? Coming over from Leipzig to, but yeah, Konrad Laimer, good player. Touched on it earlier, injuries are his big problem. He's never played 30 league games in a Bundesliga season, missed 43 games in 2020, that season, and 8 games last season too. So yeah, it's not great, but I mean, I guess Goretzka's got some injury problems of his own. Still, it's just a stacked midfield and just slightly frustrating transfer to see in terms of the balanced nature of the Bundesliga. But yeah, fair play to Laimer, fair play to Bayern Munich. Looks like they got Jan Sommer through the door too, so really 2 experienced heads going to the club. Yeah, absolutely, and Daley Blind as well. So a very positive January window. Daley Blind more of a stopgap to the end of the season, of course. But Konrad Laimer is a really interesting player. I thought he'd be so suited to Premier League football, to be honest. He's always been off the charts in terms of his work rate. He's very good at dribbling with the ball as well. Can pick a progressive pass as well. I think he's an excellent player, to be honest, and that work rate would have been very well suited to English shores. But he's going to Bayern. He's following Nagelsmann. a player tailor-made for his system. I do think Gravenberch needs to leave on loan potentially in the summer unless it improves. I still don't think he's made a Bundesliga start, which is absolutely mental. And as you say, Kimmich isn't, getting old by any means. Goretzka, when he's at full fitness, is an absolute force to be reckoned with. So the competition in Bayern's midfield is just getting stronger and stronger. So I think this is a good move from Bayern's perspective. I'm slightly surprised that Konrad Laimer went for it, in that I think he'll probably be fourth choice, at least to begin with, but we'll see how that materialises. Let's move on to @Abhishek CFC RB04. I'm amazed I got that out in one suggestion of Marcus Thuram to Chelsea. Now, I know you touched on him, that sounded a bit weird, on Continental Club, about him potentially moving to Man United. Now, as we talked about earlier, João Felix seems to be joining Chelsea on loan. So maybe this move isn't so likely, but Ben Jacobs put on Twitter that they are looking to sign Mudryk, Thuram, and I think Felix in this window. So they are definitely overhauling that forward line. Marcus Thuram to Chelsea, does that excite you?
Well, it's more of a transfer that makes sense in terms of what they're missing as a profile
than Felix
of player. Yeah, certainly a Felix. I mean, I've seen a lot of stupid memes on Twitter about how they're going to have lots of players all trying to run into the same half spaces. I think that we're talking about elite professional footballers. They're not idiots. I mean, it's so dumb. But Thuram actually would be more of a focal point to that attack, kind of what they were trying to find in Lukaku. I suppose that didn't really work out. But Thuram, I think he's got a bit more versatility to his game. He's a really good dribbler. He can actually drop out to the wings. He's a powerful runner. So I like this in principle. I said it on Continental Club and I'll say it again. I think for 12 million euros, what is he on 10 goals already this season? He got 10 for Guingamp once, and I think he's done it once for Mönchengladbach. Had a difficult season last time, but he's a really good player. I think he showed that in the World Cup final when he came on, made a real difference in that.
Got an assist.
Got an assist. That whole tournament, I thought he looked really good off the bench. I think this is an absolute no-brainer for any side. Real Madrid reportedly after him as well. I think he would be a brilliant backup to Benzema because they don't really have that kind of presence at the spearhead of the attack there, and Benzema's not getting any younger too. For 12 million euros, I'm surprised not more people are biting their hand, whatever the phrase is, for Marcus Thuram, going for him. But yeah, only 25 too, so yeah, still so much to learn and progress, and what a great player.
Yeah, absolutely. I think only Nkunku has scored more Bundesliga goals for him this season. He's been heavily linked with Inter Milan over the last 18 months as well, and I do like that move as well, particularly if they're not going to sign Lukaku permanently in the summer, which I don't think anyone would, to be honest, at his price tag and given his performances and injury record so far this year. He is just having a nightmare season, the poor man. But yeah, Marcus Thuram would be an exciting pickup for anyone. As for Chelsea, I think with João Felix, and it feels like Mudryk is more likely to go to Arsenal, but it does seem like an ever-changing situation, so we're not quite sure what's going to go on there. So if they can get Marcus Thuram in, João Felix, and then of course they're signing Nkunku in the summer, so it does feel like they are maybe signing a few too many forwards, but it's Chelsea under Todd Boehly. It does seem like anything can happen at any moment. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed Continental Club Extra for today. Let us know what you guys think, particularly about our hot topic, Simeone's departure or potential departure from Atletico Madrid, and let us know who you'd want to see replace him in the summer. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Henry, anything you'd like to push to?
If you haven't watched Continental Club, go check it out already. A long form show looking at all the kind of bargain transfers that you can see happen this January, so a bit more sort of accessible for all clubs.
Love it, love it. Like this video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you later. Goodbye.